Good morning, Great Ashby, and greetings from Walsworth Road Baptist Church in Hitchin. My privilege to be sharing with you this morning. Now, the Bible story that we heard from the book of Acts is a great one from the life of the early church. As the prayers for Peter's release from prison are answered, as the doors of his captivity are miraculously opened and he goes free, even if those praying for him cannot believe the results, even if at first Peter himself thinks it's just a vision. But our God is one who opens doors. But our message this morning is based on a Bible verse that was given to us here at Walsworth Road Baptist by the pastor of our twin church in Turan, in Israel. I've been privileged to visit them 3 times since our twinning relationship started in 2017. And last summer, 2019, we welcomed Pastor Ziad and his family to stay in the UK. Not surprisingly, perhaps, our planned church family trip to Turan for the autumn of 2020 has had to be postponed. Anyway, Pastor Ziad preached what was his first sermon in English here in our church in Hitchin. His sermons in Turan are usually in Arabic, just to keep you on your toes. But this was his text, and he offered it to us as a gift alongside offering it to us as a prayer. And here it is as both a gift and prayer for you to see. The words on there: I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. A verse from Revelation chapter 3 and verse 8. Now, that verse has taken hold of us ever since. And our leadership team felt it appropriate to adopt it as our church text, our Bible verse for 2020. We sensed last summer, 2019, and we've sensed ever since. Indeed, we've sensed it throughout this strange and anxious year, that there is something deeply reassuring about this verse, that there is something really hopeful about this verse, that there is something wonderfully encouraging about this verse. There's a power and a purpose in these words. See, I put before you an open door that no one can close. This is the risen, ascended, glorious Jesus, head of the church, who is speaking in a letter addressed to a local church in the reality of its daily life. We read in Revelation chapters 2 and 3, those letters to the 7 churches of Asia Minor. But let's acknowledge too that there's an irony about this verse, for in ways that none of us could have anticipated, actually, the doors of our church building in Hitchin, as in the community centre where you at Great Ashby Community Church meet, like so many around the country, indeed around the world, were firmly closed in March due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the associated lockdowns. We managed to reopen to some extent earlier in the autumn, but you were ahead of us and were meeting every week. But then earlier this month again, we entered lockdown 2.0. An open door that no one can close, except that a virus has closed them. Or except perhaps that it's the government edict in response to a virus that's closed them. Or indeed, except that Baptists Together have issued guidance that has closed our doors. However, surely we have the opportunity to revisit that deeper truth, which we can pretty much all of us rehearse, that the church is not the building, but the people. And so the church is not closed. It's only the church building that's closed. The church has moved online. We've taken our worship and our prayer times online. We've perhaps shared online Bible study and leaders' meetings. From week 1 in March, Helen, my youth worker, has led online sessions for our young people. And our exercise class for seniors was one of the very first meetings to go online and has grown during the weeks since March. Since the start of May, our children's work team have mobilized 2 online sessions each week. No, the church is not closed. Indeed, the door is very much still open, and it cannot be closed because our God is one who opens doors. Yes, I'm with you. We would love to get back into our familiar building together for worship, for fellowship, for prayer, for more. Some of us would just settle for a coffee and a chat at the moment. A handshake or a hug? My goodness, how long will we have to wait for that? But we are still the church, even in lockdown. And we are still the church, even when the restrictions of lockdown are eased. Now, I realize there's an additional dimension for you at Great Ashby Community Church, given the sense of a chapter that's recently closed with the departure of your minister, Laura, who I'm privileged to know as a valued colleague. And the ending of her ministry itself was caught up in the pandemic as she sought literally to fly ahead of the second lockdown. And yet, even as chapters close, yet is there not a new chapter opening? For our God is one who opens chapters. Open chapters, open doors. Well, yes, for us. For we who are the hands of Jesus, caring for the needy, providing food for the poor, even when we can't reassure with touch. Yes, for us, we who are the feet of Jesus, going to places of need and sadness, even when our going requires us to self-distance, or when going means simply picking up the phone to talk to someone lonely, or sending a card to someone feeling down. Yes, for us, who are the voice of Jesus, not silenced or on mute, even when wearing a face covering, but responding loud and clear to the injustice and the oppression of our neighbours. Yes, Black Lives Matter. We are the disciples of Jesus today, following his lead, fulfilling his call. Yes, praying for the release of others, and yes, being alert to the reality of this when it has already happened. One of the prayers of Teresa of Avila has been helping us during lockdown. Just a couple of phrases from it. Christ has no body but yours, no hands, no feet on earth, but yours. Yours are the eyes with which he looks, compassion on this world. Yours are the feet with which he walks to do good. Yours are the hands with which he blesses all the world. And a further blessing with which to close, which has been shared in worship, prayed over us, even recently by a Baptist minister friend in a church in Canada, echoing similar phrases as he sends us out. You are the people of God. So go now, and as you go, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May God give you grace never to sell yourself short, grace to risk something big for something good, grace to remember that our world is too dangerous for anything but the truth, and too small for anything but love. So go, and as you go, may the Lord take your hands and work through them. May the Lord take your lips and speak through them. May the Lord take your hearts and set them on fire, both now and forevermore. Amen.